Good morning, X. Based on your reaction, it seems that the synchronization is complete. I can now tell what moment you're reminiscing about just by looking at your expression. I also happen to know that the process always ends with the same expression and tears. You're a prisoner. You locked yourself inside this prison without bars. However, the key has always been in your hands. My role was to correct you whenever you made a wrong decision. Now, I'm quite tired of it. I don't understand why you chose to repeat this cycle, nor do I know what kind of results you hope to achieve while slowly killing yourself. Frankly, I don't really wish to know. But in this moment, while you hold the fragments of when you once were A, I would be ever so glad if you stopped this cycle now. Ah, I should change my greeting as well. It was getting tedious. Hello anew, A. I give you a warm welcome back to your Lobotomy Corporation. So, in summary, we were A the whole time. What a twist. It's not like we've been having flashbacks since the things only A would know about since, like, Malkuth's meltdown. Also, we're trapped in a sort of cycle, which probably has to do with us wiping our memories and starting as the manager over and over again. And Angela is sick of the cycle and wants out. That's basically that cutscene in a nutshell. Anyway, new cutscene time. With the hit character, question. Listen, I know Lobotomy Corporation is an important client and all, but don't you guys renew the contract too often? This place is so grimy, it's like a dungeon. I always get a bad vibe. Please hold for a moment, Rabbit Captain. We need to explain what we're doing here to the manager. Oh, he still doesn't know who I am? Go on and explain it quickly, then. This must be the first time you'll participate in a meeting with an outside party, Manager. As was mentioned a few times prior, our company has initiated contracts with some of the other wings for sustainable development business opportunities. It is also my job to renew those contracts with our associate wings when the moment arises. All that is needed from you is to be our token manager and present yourself in that role. I shall handle the rest of the formalities and procedures. Pfft, associate wing? What's with that boring introduction? You may feel free to provide more detailed information at a later time in private, Mio. For now, let us start the meeting. Speaking of, would you be so kind as to remove your helmet, at least for the duration of the meeting? You're kidding! The helmet is the whole identity of the rabbits. Well, fine, it's whatever. This is Mio. She's the captain of the rabbit team, who you can contact for support after getting that one upgrade from Gebura. We used it during the Apocalypse bird suppression yesterday to deal with, literally just Clouded Monk. You might have seen her then, when I initiated it. I just gotta brief the content of the contract from my end, right? I mean, I'm sick of reading this out over and over. You could just look at the contract for the whole dang thing. Do I really have to say it one more time? As I informed you prior, it's part of the formal procedure. I myself have to specify whether or not you agree to the terms again. Still as strict as ever, aren't you? Allow me to explain our services first. Company R will provide military support and protection from all external threats to Company L. Every branch of Lobotomy Corporation will be included under the term Company L. However, there will be certain exceptions where a branch may not be considered under the designation. Well, I say exceptions, but we're willing to let it slide unless it involves the head or the eye. Company L will provide the energy Company R needs to maintain its operation. This renewal process also includes a prerequisite that invokes a mutual and continual agreement between Company W and Company L. And, let's see, Company L will provide all specialized ammunition utilized for the killing of abnormalities. All Rabbit team members will have their memories erased after the completion of their missions. There will be no questions or concerns raised about the peculiarity of the facilities or purposes of this location. And finally, I, as the captain of the Rabbit team, will deploy my team following Company R's guidelines and assume the role of command for operations taking place in this facility. That should be everything. Look through the written contract for the finer details. There has been no change in the agreement with Company W. Along with that, the renewal period will be 1 year, just as before. Yeah, sure, it's 1 year for you, but... Okay then. On a side note, can you please do something about the teleporter to make the process a bit smoother? It feels like my body is being taken apart piece by piece and thrown out a window. I am afraid you'll need to ask Company W about that. It's out of our control. Company W provides teleportation technology. It's brought into more... You get a bit more detail about how they operate in Ruina, but that's one of their services. Gebura, why do you have such an expression? Why are little bunnies being let out of their cages and dispatched here of all places? You must really not know a thing if you're looking down on the rabbits. It's already been concluded that the rabbits are the most fit for the honorable task of slaughtering in this place. The rhinos would most certainly smash this entire place beyond recognition, and the reindeer, with the exception of the machines that work here, would cause irreversible damage to Mr. Manager over there. Miss Angela made it explicitly clear not to hurt or affect the manager. We always pay special attention to our clients' requests. I'm not talking about your dang rhinos or deer. I'm saying that we can handle our own problems. We don't need any outsiders to interfere. I mean, I don't know, I kinda needed them for the apocalypse bird suppression, Gebura. What's that? What can you do with that flimsy tin body of yours, huh? You seem much weaker than us now, can't you see that? If you were like how once you were back in the day, then maybe it'd be a different story. But look at you now. As soon as you set foot into the back streets, you'll be torn limb from limb by those sweepers. We haven't seen the sweepers yet, they're in this game. They've been mentioned before in one of Tifereth's cutscenes, though. The old days when you shredded everything before you into a red mist is now lost to the past. Things have changed, you should realize that. If I wanted to, I could tear up a tiny rabbit like you in seconds. Please, everyone, we need to focus on the topic at hand. Gebura, our agreement with the rabbit team is to help us be prepared for the worst case scenario that will be beyond our own abilities. Like a giant bird rampaging through the facility and trying to release every single abnormality at once. That's happened yesterday or something. I am certain that you have learned from your experiences with previous suppressions. The combat skills of the mercenaries sent to us by Company R are on par with those of the other wings. We can handle our problems on our own perfectly fine. I can prove it right here, right now if you want. I have compiled the statistics. The amount of data is too vast for any person to calculate, with my exception, of course. The reason I continue to contract the rabbits is that the risk of involving outsiders pales to the potential of our worst-case scenarios. They're worth every penny. However, the rabbits will not intervene with general suppression. Please calm down and analyze the situation reasonably, Gebura. That should be all for renewing our contract. Gebura is the one in charge of the basic suppression process, so if you need any advice or help regarding combat, just ask her. I'm afraid I don't have a single itty-bitty question for you. We rabbits have our own way of handling things. Nor do I have anything left to say to you filthy animals. You've done your business, how about you just bunny hop away now? Sheesh, you're being so harsh to a fellow native of the backstreets. You wouldn't happen to be mad at me because I made fun of you earlier, are you? Don't act like you know me. I'm not in the mood for your stupid games, so just shut up. I get it now. You're mad because you feel we interrupt your fight, aren't you? Yeah, I don't need any help from the likes of you. Well, it's not like we're here for a greater cause or some ulterior motive. We just drop by quickly whenever we're called, and vanish without a trace just the same when it's time. I thought you were just like me, finding joy in the slaughter. But as it turns out, you're just crazy. A complete wacko. We are the rabbits who hop around following orders to find fresh patches of grass, but you're different. You used to know who you were supposed to fight, who your enemy was. You wouldn't believe how shocked I was to find you. I never expected to see the fabled hero like, well, this, and in a drab basement too. The hero I remember was someone who wasn't afraid of shedding blood to protect others with all her might. Please don't taint the fond memory I have of you. All the abnormalities have broken out. Everyone here is done for. Dead? All of them? Probably. There won't be any survivors left. Abnormalities aren't something we can handle on our own. You're in danger too, ma'am. You'd best escape now. Gebura, I'm gonna take part in an experiment pretty soon. We'll probably see each other again, but just in case, I want to say one thing. Please take good care of Isabel and my little Gilly when I'm gone. Are abnormalities able to feel human emotion when confronted with a person of close relation? What choice would they make when faced with such a situation? The experiments seem to have yielded the expected results. Excuse me, Lady Angela, what should I do with these? There's a blanket and a few feeding bottles left. I have gotten all the results I need from this experiment. The owners are no more, so you can simply discard them. Hey. Hey! Did you just shut down or what? I really should be going. Well, I don't think next time we meet we'll be on such calm waters. The rabbits will leave now. I'm definitely not the hero. Never have been, and never will be. And Gebura's final mission is to complete a midnight. Note that we've been skipping dusk because dusk is hard. Midnight is generally worse than dusk. but we should be able to handle it now that we've done Apocalypse Bird. It is far and above every single Midnight. Gebura's final upgrade is bullets that reduce the speed of an abnormality or panicking employee by half. It is helpful, but not as helpful as the rest of her stuff, so I always take it last. Welcome back to the Lobotomy Corp. We have a new employee, Summer, just a rando completely, because I have run out of employees that I had ideas for. I also don't really have a good mission to do on this day, besides just go to midnight. So basically, I don't really have a plan beyond just training up people in stats that they need, such as Temperance for Shepard, or literally anything for Summer, probably just Temperance. So we're going pretty long, so pretty much everyone who's missing something in a stat will do works. Hopefully. If I remember to do that. We also need to get the energy for our new abnormality from yesterday that I never worked with. Not energy, encyclopedia entry / information. That's the word I was trying to think of. With that said, let us perform the day. Shelter from the 27th of March is an HE level tool abnormality that is a continuous use type tool. While an employee is sitting on it, they cannot take damage from anything except, I believe, having damage passed to them through Portrait. Originally that was, I think that would be invincible to that too, but there was an exploit for infinite energy with another tool we have not seen yet, if you add those two tools and that third one together. So I believe it was specifically patched out so you wouldn't be able to do that. While an employee stands in it for more than 30 seconds, an abnormality will breach for every single second past 30 seconds. Or more specifically, a cooldown counter for an abnormality will be set to 0. I guess it doesn't necessarily cause a breach. It's kind of just something you put somebody in and then immediately take them out of once you're done getting all the information on it. It is handy for exactly one situation in the game, and we won't even probably use it for that situation. But it is still better than most tools. Just because it is handy in the one situation. We're starting with failures. It's a bit, I'm bad at noticing things. As in, I kept messing up when I was trying to get the information from Shelter of this is from 27th of March. Or I kept leaving whoever was working on it in the shelter, thus leading to breaches. This is one of such case where... Actually, it's not that case. I just ignored Dreaming Current's breach. What was I saying? I mean, I ignored Dreaming Current's meltdown, and then so Dreaming Current breached and murdered. Oops. And the next is also not this case. This is a little preview of Violet Midnight. Spoiler, this is not the Midnight I end up fighting. This is the one Midnight I described as hard. So our new employee, Summer, is panicking. And instead of executing her, I was like, we can probably save her. So I sent all my white damage people off to save her, while my black and pale and Marie's are fighting one part of it. It's a bit complicated to explain, and I won't really do it. I'll just hope you see it later on in the Let's Play. While I was distracted with that, I was a bit distracted by like 3 separate things. There's a lot going on whenever you're doing this. It should be right about now. Yeah, that happened. And we go straight into another first trumpet with the double escape of Little Red Riding Hood and Judgment Bird. This was due to me ignoring the shelter, unlike the Dreaming Current breach. In case you're wondering, the game does a 50-50 with if it's a boy Tiferth or girl Tiferth saying the lines. Girl Tiferth is in meltdown, so she won't say anything. Ever. Until she's, her core is suppressed, which we can't do yet, because it's not day 37. Day 137. Anyway, I was distracted fighting Clouded Monk, and I kind of forgot about the fight that was ongoing in Central. Whoops. I may have made some slight mistakes and miscalculations repeatedly, as they say. Overall, I really don't like getting the information from the shelter from 27th of March, because it takes 3 minutes to get all the information, and you have to be in and out of 30 seconds, so it's a minimum of 7 works, and I cannot count to 30 seconds. That is probably the reason why I find it extremely frustrating to get for a tool that I don't really think is that bad typically. It's not great, but it's really easy to go in and out of. And here we are back at another day. As is starting to become typical, I kind of just shuffle everyone who's in training to different departments. For once, this actually includes Eke, because Eke is missing a justice cap, and we do have a Snow White's apple that will be very useful in getting to that cap for them. But essentially, we would just have people in the Scarecrow suit working to train Fortitude, people in the one new employee working with Big Bird, as I said, would probably happen, and then 2 people working with DRV to train Instinct. / Prudence. It's a bit of a complicated setup because there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of different abnormalities being worked with today. We also have plans for what to do if pretty much anything melts down in the central or disciplinary or welfare layers. And we are also working with Clouded Monk to train Temperance on Shepard. So yeah, there's a lot going on today. And that's just because we're going to Midnight. I never really like going to Midnight. It takes forever. It takes like, assuming you can end the ordeals pretty fast, it takes like 35 minutes for me. Unedited. There's a lot of cutting in this, but... And then even after that, you still have like the 1/3 shot of it being Violet Midnight, which is like a massive pain. This Big Banner's even worse. You have to repeat all the getting information from abnormalities if you screw up. You don't have to do that if you stop the day early, typically. And that's the reason why I've been stopping the day early. Midnights have been available since like day 26, I think. Just there's no reason to go that far. It's noons. You could show up as soon as they're available. Also, I already screwed up with Shelter. DRV escaped. When you're going long and you have clerks' rights abnormalities, it's really smart to just execute as many clerks as possible at the beginning meltdown levels of the day. It's just because it gets to be a bit of a pain if you leave a bunch of clerks alive. And like all the Midnights will probably wipe out enough clerks for all of your clerks' rights abnormalities to breach if you left your entire facility alive. DRV was successfully suppressed. We've done a lot. And we have slow bullets now, so it's even easier. In case you're wondering why Marie didn't take damage from the Violet Noon falling, for some reason it's coded that only agents from the department that the Violet Noon is in will take damage when it lands. So like, if safety and information traded places, they wouldn't even have to go back into their room. It's really dumb. I don't know why they coded it like that, but it was pretty funny to show it off once. I don't really like engaging it like that, just because it feels cheesy. I don't know. Marie killed it in like 2 hits anyway, because Twilight's overpowered as heck. Like, look at how much longer it's taking these 3 to kill it than it took Marie. But Violet Noon's never been a threat, as long as you know that's gimmick. And we're immediately cutting to preparations for our first of 2 new ordeals. This is Crimson Dusk, aka the struggle at the climax. Although I don't really think struggle is the most accurate word because it's the easiest dusk. Even though this calls us a reset on day 21, back when we were first doing dusks. It is actually really easy. So it spawns in 2 clowns that will roll through your facility. I believe they choose a random employee to target and they will roll towards them, and they each choose separate employees, typically. My strategy for this is just to have Marie chase one and Goomp chase the other, because they do a lot of damage. For similar reasons as Crimson Noon, you don't want to send your entire facility after one of them. Notably, these last a bit longer than Crimson Noon. Noon used to be tanky, it's not anymore. These are still tanky, but they barely do damage. Well, to the people who are wearing like wall or better suits, but hopefully soon that'll be all over facility wearing wall or better. Right now we still have people in Teth suits and we're using Teth weapons, but hopefully soon we should be able to get enough equipment for that not to be an issue. They went to the Among Us corridor. Among Us, since he's fighting both of them, he will take a lot of damage, but we have bullets for that. The Dusks in general, besides Amber, get a lot easier once you have bullets to deal with them. Pretty much every suppression does get a lot easier once you start to unlock the bullets. So once the Crimson Dusks die, they each spawn one Crimson Noon each from their corpse. I said each twice in a sentence because I cannot say words properly. Crimson Noon is not a threat anymore though, so it's just kind of a thing that happens. But remember, when Crimson Noon dies, it spawns 3 Crimson Dawns. So because there are 2 Crimson Dusks that will each split into 1 Crimson Noon each, there will be 6 Crimson Dawns during this, which is less than a Crimson Dawn normally would be. And since ultimately they're not really much of a threat, if you just have a left geared agents, they could just each of them could just solo one. It kind of just means you're dealing with less Crimson Dawns than a normal Crimson Dawn. The Crimson Ordeals are weird because I think the Crimson Dawn is the most threatening one, just because it can potentially release really dangerous LFs if you have them. We still have no LFs. I really want them. I don't kinda want them. I wish I had them. Oh well. Crimson Dusk is not a problem. And Crimson Dawn is not a problem. And Crimson Noon is not a problem. As long as you can stay on top of things. A lot of the threat level of the Dawns randomly spawning is just kind of neutered by the fact that you can pause and send your agents to fight them. And so most of our agents have level 5 Justice, so unless they spawn in like Control in that specific hallway, we should be able to get them. But it's not like Fragment getting out is much of an issue anyway. And Marie can annihilate a Crimson Dawn. Twilight is strong as heck. Also, while you're wearing Twilight, Apocalypse Bird can't breach. I forgot to mention that. Or while you're wielding the Twilight Sword, if you just wanted to equip one of them for some reason. But you should just equip both of them with the same person. Anyway, this is the first Midnight we've seen. In full, Amber Midnight. Just think of Amber Midnight as Amber Dusk, but more. Because it spawns 2 big worms that will spawn Amber Dusks. I think they only spawn like 5 each, so my strategy is to wait for them to stop spawning Amber Dusks and then start engaging them. But the problem is that this leaves the hallway infested with Amber Dusks. However, since the training and safety have elevators next to the main room, it's not an issue at all. You can just have your agents hide in the elevator, they won't be hit by Amber and Midnight can only go into the main rooms, and Amber Dusk can only go into the hallways. So they should be able to not take damage at all. Amber Midnight only does damage when it enters the room for the first time, or if it drops a dusk on top of your heads. So once all the dusks are spawned in, it really can't do damage as long as you have people waiting in the hallways for it to spawn. The only downside to this strategy is that it takes a really long time. Just the Amber Dusk suppression by itself took me 11 minutes. And there are only 2 of them. This is why the entire thing was being fast forwarded, by the way. It's not really particularly interesting. I think Amber Dusk is more interesting. It's also easier than Amber Dusk, because you can just wait in the elevators. You can get screwed over by the hallways for Amber Dusk, because that can't happen for Amber Dawn. Because when the Amber Midnight dies, as you may have noticed, all the Amber Dusks it spawned die with it. And so there's no reason you'd ever have to enter the hallways for this, because the Amber Dusks will just die anyway. 2 of the Midnights are easier than Dusks, in my opinion. The Violet one is a massive pain, though. It's probably the 3rd hardest suppression in the game, behind Apocalypse Bird and the thing that's worse than Apocalypse Bird. We kind of divided it. In case you're wondering, outside of training is the upper layer, outside of safety is the middle layer. The upper layer does a bit less damage because there have less people and less good equipment overall. Notably, the lower layer has both of the Aleph equipment, And that is why the upper layer has a bit less of a damage Dewey than the middle guys. It takes a little bit for it to burrow into the right spots, because realistically there's like 8 places I can go into and only 2 where I can actually make progress on it safely. Well, I could probably go to information and fight it there, I just don't really want to take the risk right now. It's a bit different when it would probably die in that version though. And it's a long day, but that's kind of what it happens when you go to midnight. Then you get the longest midnight. Pretty much everyone who was working either got close to the cap or capped a stat. Well, I'm pretty sure everyone should have capped the main stat they were working on. Yeah, Pesca did, but she's only working with an HE just to raise up levels. She got to level 5 anyway. And I think she's the only exception. Yep. I mean, good workday for training, but that's what happens when you go to like Meltdown level 9, so not surprising. I could have gone longer, but I didn't really see the point. And now we pick a new abnormality for our next department. Because we're moving on to Azalith. Or whichever one's the last one. I think it's Azalith. I'm a professional. TO627, this is a recording of the day we must never forget. FO102, I'm coming to you. You hope you're used to ash like me in 00576. Someone's persistent gaze became filled from the keyhole inside the machine. These are 2 Teths, Teth, and an HE. So, nothing that I am really enthusiastic about. And right up that door is loaded. Sadly. I guess I could say how I feel about them if I got them at like the very beginning of the game while I wait for it to load. This would be pretty good really early on. This would be not great really early on because it's kind of dangerous to a low level facility. And this would be really good if I had it when the AGs were starting off. And I rolled a 1, so we're taking recording. And now it is time for wolf lore. An abnormality in the shape of a wolf with sparsely damaged fur. It is bipedal and capable of communication to some extent. It always attempts to devour employees or breach. Such actions are easily preventable since it shows obvious signs of behavior and conversation before doing so, making this abnormality fairly easy to manage. The incident on the day of Redacted was an alerting event for many employees. The moment Red Riding Hood ran into the wolf, the situation spiraled out of control. Prevent the two from meeting at all costs. Considering the potential damage it may cause, it could be a wise decision to sacrifice a few employees and divert their attention away from each other. She had a flesh for the first time in a long while, and its taste was so good. In the corner of its eye, a familiar piece of red cloth stood out from the wardrobe. He may or may not have seen it before, but he didn't really care about it. Since then, it got harder and harder to keep himself in check. Still, it didn't matter to him. After all, he was destined to be a big bad wolf. There may be lots of stories here, but no story is as disgusting as the wolf's role. It was a sin to be born as a wolf. No one cared about the wolf's name. It had to be called the Big Bad Wolf. All wolves are raised to become giant, ferocious, and hairy monsters. Wolves could not eat other animals even if they were starving. Wolves could not cross the line when doing bad things, and wolves had to be punished. Wolves always need to be an example. Wolves could not make friends with anyone. Omitted. What a beautiful story.